Check out the design on this box. This is Apple's iSight camera, which was sold for 5 years from 2003 to 2008. I didn't even know it existed though until a couple of weeks ago when I found one boxed with its original accessories on eBay. The seller accepted my offer for £26 just seconds after I sent it. So now it's arrived, I thought I'd do an unboxing video and see if it still works on any of my Macs. iSight was intended for use as a webcam. With iChat, which is now FaceTime, becoming more popular, Apple wanted Macs that didn't have built-in cameras to still be able to use the video calling features. So they released this camera, which could attach to all sorts of surfaces and plug into pretty much any Mac they made. The packaging is a real throwback to the cheese grater Mac Pro design we first saw on the Power Mac G4. The white text on a black background is a weirdly modern design that wouldn't look out of place on a product released in 2025. The system requirements really are out of place though. You'll need a 600 MHz or faster processor with an internet connection of at least 128 kilobits per second to use the iSight camera. I think we'll be okay. Right, let's get into the box. Once you take the cardboard tube off the outside, the box opens into two pieces, kind of like a book. By the way, these things used to cost $150 new, so I guess the premium package design is to be expected. You've got the documentation here. Wow, a whole 1 year Apple guarantee. Underneath the leaflets are all the accessories, which I'll go over in a minute, as they are quite strange. For now though, let's head over to the other side. There's the iSight camera itself. It's a lot bigger than you'd expect actually. This design is wicked though. I mean, it's just one of a kind, isn't it? I'd love to repurpose this with something else inside. Maybe a newer camera or some sort of storage drive, I don't know. Anyway, the iSight camera plugs into your computer using a FireWire 400 cable, which is right there in the box. FireWire was developed mainly by Apple in the late 80s and early 90s as a universal connector they could use for their accessories. It pretty much died out in the late 2000s when Apple switched to Thunderbolt and USB-C based connections. This bad boy used to be a faster alternative to USB back in the day though, so it's a pretty cool cable to have. Underneath those bits, there's a couple more accessories. These plastic parts are all mounting accessories for the camera. This one clips onto the very top edge of laptop displays, and this one's a sticky mount that goes on the back edge of a monitor or whatever you're using. Looks like the person who bought this originally didn't even take the film off the sticky surface. There's a magnetic stand here for attaching the camera to metal surfaces. Super strong magnets in there, which I think is pretty cool. Also, these little plastic pieces are cable adapters. You just stick the end of the cable in there, really. Right, I think it's time to plug this thing into a Mac. I'm going to plug it into my 2006 Mac Mini first, as it's got a FireWire 400 port and an original installation of iChat. So this Mac is actually the one from my single-core Mac Mini video, where I built the weakest possible Intel Mac. It's got 512 megabytes of RAM, 1 CPU core and 1 thread, and a 4200 RPM spinning hard drive. As you can see though, it is running iChat without any major slowdowns. So this thing uses a 1/4 inch CCD sensor, and it can record video at 640 by 480p VGA resolution, at a maximum of 30 frames per second. There's also autofocus built in, which is pretty cool since you can hear the lens moving every time the focal distance changes. The 3-part lens was designed by Apple themselves, and its aperture goes up to 2.8. Because of the relatively narrow aperture, things look super bright if you're recording in daylight. On the other hand, low-light filming is seriously dim too. It's not a very advanced camera despite its decent size. I will say though, considering digital cameras only began to catch on after the late 90s, this is a seriously impressive little webcam for the year 2003. It's almost as old as I am, yet the videos recorded don't look like they're from the very beginning of the 21st century. It's no iPhone 16, but 480p on this one isn't the grainiest thing you can imagine. Right, fun as the iChat and photo booth apps have been to come back to, it's time to try using the iSight camera with something a bit newer. My Mac Pro 5.1 from 2010 might look old, but I still use it as my main PC running Windows 10 and macOS Monterey. I want to try FaceTime calling someone with iSight just to see if it's even possible. I've got this FireWire 400 to 800 adapter here so I can plug it into the Mac Pro. In theory, the camera should work as intended, as FireWire is backwards compatible with the right cables. So let's boot up macOS Monterey and take a look. Right, well, it turns out this camera doesn't work at all with macOS Monterey. I've tried FaceTime and Photo Booth, and it's just not having it. It's a shame to have random devices like the iSight discontinued through macOS, but I have to say I doubt many people noticed when it happened. I never knew anyone who owned an iSight, even back in the 2000s. So unfortunately, no testing the iSight with any modern Macs today, as I just don't have any that run a new enough OS while having FireWire ports at the same time. It's nice to have that footage from plugging it into the Mac Mini though. Once the iSight stopped being sold new in 2008, Apple pretty much stepped out of the external camera business altogether. As far as I'm aware, this was the last standalone webcam they ever sold. The main reason for this is fairly obvious, really. By 2008, every Apple computer with a screen had a camera built into it for things like video calls. In 2010, FaceTime launched, and by then the iPhone and iPod lines were beginning to catch on fast. They had cameras inside as well, and since then I would imagine most of Apple's camera department have been focused on improving the quality of their mobile devices' cameras. The iSight remains a very interesting piece of history though. Apple devices from the 2000s are remarkably well designed most of the time, and this is no exception. The aluminium case design fits in pretty well with the Mac Pro and Mac Studio designs we've seen over the last 5 years, and like I said, I can imagine a modern version of this being sold in Apple stores new in 2025. Since very few people know this device exists, they are going very cheaply on eBay. Looking through the sold items listings on eBay, it's clear to see they go for all sorts of prices, down to basically nothing. So for now at least, they're not exactly collector's items or rare pieces of history. I'm not sure whether to keep mine or resell it, really. Maybe I'll see what I can do to repurpose the case. Thank you very much for watching. Shout out to my Patreon members as well, who make running this channel worth it for me. You can support what I do financially using the link in the description. If you're interested in old Apple tech like this, feel free to join the What's on Your Screen Discord server as well. Subscribers, I'll see you next week.